May 2, 2025. Malihia Brooks Murray woke to something that didn't belong in a house with two young children: silence. Just hours earlier, she'd heard them. Lily, 6 years old, giggling as she shuffled in and out of the bedroom. Jack, 4, his little voice echoing from the kitchen. The sounds you don't think twice about when you're a parent. The sounds that mean everything is normal. But now, nothing. She got up. Checked their room. Empty. Walked through the kitchen. No one. Then she saw it. The back sliding door, the one that usually squeaked when it opened, now still. And on the floor near the entrance, the absence that made her stomach drop, their boots were gone. Lily's pink ones. Jack's blue dinosaur boots. In the frantic hours that followed, search teams would descend on Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. Volunteers would comb dense forest. Police would deploy tracking dogs and dive teams. But one detail would emerge that raised more questions than answers. Where was Daniel's phone? Before we dive in, if you're into true crime mysteries that'll keep you up at night, hit that subscribe button right now. You won't regret it. Lansdowne Station isn't the kind of place that shows up on most maps. Population, 423. Located in Pictou County, Nova Scotia, it's the kind of rural community where everyone knows everyone, where kids play outside until the streetlights flicker on, where the forest isn't just scenery, it's a presence. The Sullivan family lived on Gairloch Road, a quiet stretch surrounded by thick brush, steep embankments, and woods so dense that even in daylight, shadows linger. It's beautiful in that rugged, untamed way. But it's also unforgiving. One wrong turn, one moment of distraction, and the wilderness swallows you whole. The house was home to Malihia Brooks Murray, her partner Daniel Martel, and 3 children, Lily, Jack, and their baby sister, Meadow. Daniel's mother, Janie Mackenzie, lived in a trailer on the same property, close enough to help, far enough to give the family space. Lily was 6. She loved the color pink, pink sweaters, pink pajamas, pink boots. She carried a cream-colored backpack decorated with strawberries everywhere she went. Teachers said she was quiet but curious, the kind of kid who asked questions that made you think. Jack was 4. Obsessed with bugs and dinosaurs. He wasn't fully potty-trained yet, still wore diapers at night. He followed his big sister everywhere. Where Lily went, Jack went. They were inseparable. By all accounts, they were just regular kids living a regular life in a small town. But on the morning of May 2, 2025, regular shattered into something else entirely. And in the chaos that followed, one question would haunt investigators: why didn't Daniel Martel take his phone when he went searching for them? April 29, 2025. That was the last day Lily and Jack attended school. A normal Tuesday. Nothing out of the ordinary. April 30th was a professional development day, no classes. The family stayed home. Quiet. Uneventful. May 1st started like any other day. The family ran errands in New Glasgow, a neighboring town about 20 minutes away. At 2:25 p.m., surveillance cameras at the local Dollarama captured them: Malihia, Daniel, Lily, Jack, and baby Meadow browsing the aisles. Lily wore her signature pink. Jack clung to his mom's hand. That grainy footage would later become crucial. It was the last confirmed public sighting of Lily and Jack Sullivan alive. They returned home that evening. According to Malihia, the kids went to bed around 9 p.m. Later, she'd changed that estimate to 10 p.m. Small discrepancies like that happen when you're trying to reconstruct a timeline under stress. Your mind plays tricks. Details blur. Daniel stayed up late that night. Malihia wasn't sure what time he eventually came to bed. She drifted in and out of sleep, the way parents do when you're used to background noise, the hum of the TV, footsteps on creaky floors, the soft murmur of kids whispering to each other in the next room. Early morning, May 2nd. Malihia woke to the sound of Lily and Jack giggling. Laughing. Talking in that animated, nonsensical way little kids do when they're playing make-believe. She didn't think much of it. She let herself fade back to sleep. When the alarm went off at 6:15 a.m., she called the school. Lily had a cough. She kept both kids home. Throughout the morning, she could hear them moving around. Lily came into the bedroom a few times. Jack's voice drifted in from the kitchen. Everything seemed normal. And then, silence. No footsteps. No voices. No giggling. Malihia got up. Checked their room. Walked through the house. That's when she noticed the back sliding door. It didn't squeak like it usually did. And the boots, Lily's pink ones, Jack's blue dinosaur boots, were gone. At 10:01 a.m., Malihia Brooks Murray called 911. The 911 call was frantic but clear. 2 children missing. Ages 4 and 6. Last seen wearing pajamas and boots. Possibly wandered into the woods. Malihia gave dispatchers everything she could remember. Lily, pink sweater, pink pajamas, pink boots. Possibly carrying her cream-colored backpack with the strawberry pattern. Jack. Black sweatpants, a t-shirt, still in his nighttime diaper, wearing those blue dinosaur boots he loved. Both children were possibly on the autism spectrum, something the family had suspected but never formally diagnosed. They were known to wander. Curious kids. Fearless in the way only children can be. By 10:27 a.m., RCMP officers arrived at the Gairloch Road property. What they found was a frantic household. Malihia was distraught. Daniel's mother, Janie, was already outside searching the property. And Daniel? He told officers he'd been out looking for hours. He said he ran outside the moment he realized the kids were gone. Got in his car. Drove around the rural roads, eyes scanning the ditches, the tree line, anywhere 2 small children might have wandered. Then he parked. Got out. Ran through the woods. Calling their names. Searching. 4 hours, he said. But here's the detail that didn't sit right. Daniel told RCMP officers he didn't look at the time during any of this. He didn't even take his phone. Let that sink in. It's 2025. Almost everyone has their phone glued to their hand. It's reflex. You grab your keys, your wallet, your phone. Especially in an emergency. Especially when you're searching for missing children in dense, unforgiving wilderness. Your phone has a flashlight. A camera. GPS. The ability to call for help, to coordinate with others, to document where you've been so you don't cover the same ground twice. But Daniel said he left it behind. He couldn't tell officers exactly when he started searching. Couldn't pinpoint how long he'd been out there. No phone pings to verify his location. No call logs. No text sent in a panic. Just his word. And that created a gap. A black hole in the timeline that investigators couldn't fill. Where was Daniel Martel during those critical hours? What was he doing? And why, in a moment when every second mattered, did he leave the one tool that could have helped behind? What do you think happened in those hours between the laughter and the silence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Search and rescue teams mobilized fast. Volunteers from neighboring towns poured into Lansdowne station. Tracking dogs were brought in. Helicopters circled overhead. The dense forest surrounding Gairloch Road became a grid, sectioned off and methodically combed. But the woods gave nothing back. Then, at 4 p.m. on May 2nd, just hours after the 911 call, a family member found something. A piece of fabric snagged on a tree branch along Lansdowne Station Road, about a kilometer from the Sullivan home. It was pink. A piece of Lily's blanket. Police seized it immediately. Brought in cadaver dogs, tracking dogs, scent detection teams. If Lily had been there, the dogs should have picked up her trail. But they didn't. No scent. No trail. Nothing. 2 days later, on May 4th, another piece of the same pink blanket was discovered, this time in a trash bag at the end of the Sullivan driveway. That raised even more questions. How does a piece of a child's blanket end up a kilometer away on a tree branch, with no scent trail, and then another piece shows up in the trash at home? Did someone plant it? Was it torn during a struggle? Or had the kids been playing with it outside days earlier, and it was just a coincidence? The timeline wasn't adding up. And the more investigators dug, the more that gap, the hours Daniel spent searching without his phone, became a focal point. In missing persons cases, especially ones involving children, the first few hours are critical. They call it the golden window. It's when memories are fresh, when witnesses can recall details, when physical evidence hasn't been disturbed by weather or time. But Daniel's account of those hours was vague. He couldn't give investigators precise times. Couldn't tell them exactly which roads he drove down or which sections of woods he searched. And without his phone, there was no digital footprint to corroborate his story. It's not that he refused to cooperate. In fact, he did the opposite. On May 6, Daniel sat down with RCMP investigators for a 4-hour interview. They asked him to detail his movements to the minute. They asked him to draw maps of where he thought the children might be. He gave them access to his phone, his banking records, even the data from his home's wireless router. And here's what's strange, he passed a polygraph test. So did Malihia. Both of them. Polygraphs aren't foolproof, they're not even admissible in most courts, but they're a tool. And both Daniel and Malihia cleared them. Still, the phone gap lingered. Investigators now had his phone. They could see his texts, his calls, his app activity. But that didn't tell them where he was or what he was doing during those first critical hours when the phone stayed behind. Have you ever heard of a case where someone didn't take their phone during a search? Drop a comment if you've seen something similar. As the investigation deepened, more details emerged, and not all of them pointed in the same direction. On May 3, just after midnight, Malihia called police with a new theory. She told them the children's biological father, Cody Sullivan, might have taken them. Maybe he'd driven them across the border to New Brunswick. It was a long shot, but worth checking. At 2:50 a.m., RCMP officers knocked on Cody Sullivan's door. He was cooperative. Confused. And he had an airtight alibi. He hadn't seen Lily and Jack in 3 years. There was no contact. No custody arrangement. No reason to believe he was involved. That lead went cold fast. Meanwhile, the search efforts intensified. On May 8 and 9, the RCMP underwater recovery team deployed to the area. They searched 3 ponds and Lansdowne Lake, dragging the murky bottoms for any sign of the children. They found nothing. By May 12, both Daniel and Malihia were asked to take polygraph tests at the Bible Hill RCMP detachment. Both agreed. Both passed. But passing a polygraph doesn't mean you're innocent, it just means the machine didn't detect deception. And investigators know that. What they were really looking for was in the data. Phone records. Banking transactions. Router logs showing which devices connected to the home's Wi-Fi and when. Video surveillance from the May 1 Dollarama trip, scrutinized frame by frame for any sign of distress or unusual behavior. And then there was the relationship between Daniel and Malihia, which, by this point, was fracturing. On May 3, just 1 day after the children went missing, Malihia left the Gairloch Road home. She went to stay with her family. She and Daniel haven't spoken since. She blocked him on social media. Cut off all contact. Child Protective Services stepped in and prevented Daniel from seeing baby Meadow, the couple's youngest daughter. The public didn't know what to make of it. Was this a mother protecting herself from someone she suspected? Or was it the result of trauma, mistrust, and police advice to keep distance during an active investigation? No one was saying. But the silence between them spoke volumes. And still, 8 months later, there was no sign of Lilly and Jack. So what really happened? The theories are as varied as they are unsettling. Theory 1, Panic and Tunnel Vision. Some people argue that Daniel's decision not to take his phone makes perfect sense. When you're in genuine panic, when your stepkids are missing and every second feels like an eternity, you don't think logically. You just act. You run. You search. You forget things. In that context, leaving the phone behind isn't suspicious. It's human. And some argue it actually makes his story more believable. A calculated person would have grabbed their phone to establish an alibi, to create a digital trail proving they were searching. Theory 2, Something to hide. Others see it differently. The phone gap, they argue, is too convenient. No pings. No location data. No way to verify where Daniel actually was or what he was doing during those critical hours. If you wanted to do something without leaving evidence, not having your phone is the first step. The question becomes, was he really searching? Or was he doing something else? Theory 3, The broader picture. Recent court documents revealed something that added another layer to the case. Malihia told police that Daniel had been physically abusive at times. She claimed he would block her, hold her down, take her phone when she tried to call her mother for help. Daniel denied all of it. He passed a polygraph. He cooperated with investigators. He's been the public face of the search effort, appearing at vigils, speaking to media, pleading for information. But trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. And in the court of public opinion, people were split. Some saw a grieving stepfather doing everything he could to find his kids. Others saw a man with too many inconsistencies in his story. What we know for certain. Lilly and Jack Sullivan have been missing for 8 months. Over 1,000 tips have been received. Police have reviewed more than 8,100 videos. They've conducted 86 formal interviews. And still, nothing. The Nova Scotia government is offering up to $150,000 for information leading to the location of Lilly and Jack Sullivan. It's one of the largest rewards ever posted in a missing persons case in the province. Daniel Martel maintains he had nothing to do with their disappearance. He's been vocal, persistent, heartbroken. He's organized searches, spoken to the media, kept their faces in the public eye. Malihia Brooks-Murray has stayed silent. Her lawyer advised her not to speak publicly, and she's followed that advice. She grieves privately. Away from cameras. Away from Daniel. The community remains divided. Some stand by Daniel. Others whisper suspicions. And in the middle of it all are 2 children who deserve to be found. The phone gap remains one of the most debated aspects of this case. Was it an innocent oversight, a father so consumed by panic that he simply forgot? Or does it represent something more calculated, a deliberate move to avoid leaving a digital trail? Investigators now have Daniel's phone. They've analyzed the data. They know his call history, his texts, his app usage. But none of that tells them where he was during those first few hours. The hours that mattered most. In missing persons cases, the first 48 hours are critical. In the Sullivan case, some of those hours remain a mystery, a gap in the timeline that may never be filled. What happened to Lilly and Jack Sullivan? The answer may lie somewhere in those missing hours. Somewhere in the silence between the laughter and the search. Somewhere in the woods that still haven't given up their secrets. If you have any information about this case, contact the RCMP or the Nova Scotia tip line. And if this case moved you, hit that subscribe button and share this video. These kids deserve to be found. Thanks for watching.